Hi, it's Scott Granville from Direct Kicks TV, and you're watching The Other Side Media with Josh and Jeremy live right now.
The Other Side Media Group and 91X now present The Other Side Radio Show, a program about people who make a difference from all walks of life in Quinte and beyond. And now here are your hosts, Jeremy and Joshua Davis.
Hi, and welcome again to The Other Side Live. I'm Jeremy T. Davis, along with Joshua R. Davis, and we're here with our new friend, Scott Granville, and media personality. Now, Scott, we've been chatting a little bit off air. What made you decide that you wanted to go into the Canadian media industry and pursue your dream of journalism?
Well, thanks very much, Jeremy, for the opportunity to chat a little bit about my career. It started here in Belleville. I was lucky enough to go to Loyalist College and take broadcast journalism. You have to get a little bit lucky, and I did. I got a job at City TV in downtown Toronto in the sports department. And I was immediately delved into some of the most amazing sports opportunities. The Argos, the Blue Jays, and of course the Toronto Maple Leafs. We were able to interview some of the greatest stars of the day. I was there for both World Series for the Blue Jays and covered them at spring training. So it was, I got lucky. I spent 10 years at City TV learning the trade, learning how to do it on the streets of Toronto, in the newsroom, and learning proper journalism, how to get the story straight, how to get both sides of the story and report it properly. And it was very exciting. It was awesome.
Now, Scott, before Josh jumps right in there, because I know he's got that burning question, is this something that you always envisioned yourself doing?
No, I think it was something. It was almost destiny. I was a sports fan and a sports guy back in the day, and I always knew that I wasn't really that great at school, so I wanted to do something that really I enjoyed, I had a passion for, and I knew the subject inside and out because I had been playing all the different sports. So that was a great way of being able to combine a passion that you have and then get paid for it as well, and then learn the trade of journalism and sports.
So, Scott, you were saying to me off air, your soccer show was so funny back in the day. You met a lot of interesting and wonderful characters. Is it fair to say you were maybe the next Jerry Seinfeld, or no?
I wish I was the next Jerry Seinfeld, boy. But the one thing, Josh, that we did on our show was we kept it fun. The soccer back in the day, back in 1997 when we started the show, was basically most people were playing because it was fun and they wanted to play.
Direct Kicks.
Yes, Direct Kicks was the name of the TV show. It was on the Chum Networks, which was City TV owned about 7 different networks across the nation. And then I sold it to Fox Sports World. And then I sold it to TSN. And then Rogers Sportsnet.
So it really evolved.
It did. It did. Every year that we expanded the idea of it being from, instead of it being a local TV show, it became a national TV show almost overnight, because we had to make sure that if it was going to be seen in Vancouver, that Vancouver highlights and Vancouver interviews were done too.
So back then, Scott, is it fair to say, in your opinion, or our opinion, for that matter, that broadcasting was a little easier done back then, and you could sort of be a little more creative than, say, today, or no?
Well, that's a great question, Josh. I know that we were given a lot of leeway because we were independent. We would sell the network our series. So they didn't really, a lot of them didn't have say over the content. So we were able to do that. So our creative juices really were helped that way. And like, Josh, you're saying about being funny. We actually tried to make the show funny. We tried to, we had jokes, we had trivia that were fun. We had trivia. If you guys remember the score, Yeah. Jerry D used to be hired by the score to go in, and Jerry D is a very famous comedian. And he'd go in, and everybody knew who he was. So they knew the shtick, that it wasn't going to be a real serious interview. It was going to be fun. Well, we did that before Jerry. We just weren't comedians. So we didn't do it as good as he did, but it's the same concept. Get NHL players and get famous people that usually are standoffish in interviews, get them relaxed by saying something funny.
That's a very good point, Scott, that Josh was making. About broadcasting and the way it evolved. And I think just to add to that before we move on, and this isn't a slap in the face to what the offerings are now, but there is so much more, or it would seem, so much more of a corporate culture. And so in one sense, one could argue that some of the creativity or creative control is lost, for a lack of a better word. Now, before we go on to how your career progressed, and from the famous soccer show to the spin-offs that you had, and that including the hockey spin-off. At the time of your run, not exact numbers, but did you know how big your show was getting? How big of an audience? How much it was catching on across the country in the different markets?
No, absolutely we did, because we had to track that. That was really important, because in order to get sponsorship, we had to have more eyeballs watching the show. So we were on a course going straight upwards, because we were working so hard to get sponsorship. The book that I wrote, Direct Kicks to the World Cup, tells the story of what I had to do to get sponsors, and they're hilarious. The Burger King story, I literally chased down the head of marketing for Burger King in the head office, and I had never met the guy before. I only knew that he had a Scottish accent. So here's the story. I went in, he promised me money, and then he didn't call me back. And I needed the money because we had to get the show. Yes. So I went to head office in Mississauga. So what happened was I go to the front office, and I went in, and I was just going to do a cold call knock on the door. And I went into the elevator, and the elevator, as I get into the elevator, 4 or 5 businessmen walk out. And as I get in the elevator and press number 5, and the door was closing, I heard a Scottish accent on one of the 5 people. So the door closed, and I had to go all the way up to number 5. I'm pushing the elevator buttons to stop. I get out of the second floor, I run down, and I chase these guys, and I don't even know. I just know the guy's name. So I just yelled out the name, "Hey, Chuck." And the first guy that turned around went, "Hey, Chuck, it's me, Scott, from Direct Kicks." And I shook his hand, and the look on his face was, "Oh, boy. I shouldn't have promised them that money."
Now, that is a amazing, inspirational business story 101, really from the ground level up, right? So congratulations. And that just shows that your determination and your commitment. And listen, you're a homegrown boy here from Belleville, Ontario, and you're meeting all these people. You met so many people along the way, as part of the game. You were saying you've got so many famous people that they weren't famous at the time, but you knew they were onto something. Okay, it started with the soccer show, and then your hockey program. Like later on, you have a story about Ty Domi's kid. So can you tell us some of those, up and coming moments that maybe nobody knew at that time, but you had that intuition and it became a reality, and you write that in your direct kicks. So you can start with the soccer story you told us off air.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate that because, it became part of what we ended up doing. At first, the show was about showcasing soccer in Canada, which was just fun. Kids are having fun. Let's showcase that. But we slowly started realizing that our cameras were picking up very famous young kids. So Christine Sinclair, the greatest soccer player to ever play for Canada, she was playing in Burnaby on the very first time she ever tried out for Canada. Amazing. We were the very first TV show she ever had a TV interview with. And at the end of the interview, I say, good luck in the future, which I think is very funny because she ended up being the greatest player of all time.
Was she nervous talking to
She
you?
was very nervous. And this is the thing about Christine. When she started her career, we stayed away from her because she didn't want to be on camera. So we let her alone. And I think we did that on purpose because we didn't want to bother her. There were other girls on the team that liked to be on camera more, and she developed her abilities and her skill and her personality. And look what she became. Yeah. But also on the men's side, Junior Hoylett, we saw him when he was 9 years old over in Wales. Julian de Guzman, Jonathan de Guzman when he was 12 years old. These are all stars of the Canadian national team. Paul Stalteri, D-Rowe, Karina LeBlanc, Amy Walsh, all these superstars from the Canadian national team were on our show. We even have a kid, believe it or not, Chicho Flores, when he was 4 years old, yeah. And we knew his father, who was a very, very good player, and we knew this kid was something special when he was 4 years old. We have him with his direct kicks microphone saying hello to the people and scoring goals. He now plays for the Mexican national team. He's 22 years old.
Now, can we, or can Canadians or people around the world via the internet, because you were the producer and presumably you own your own show, can we see some of those episodes on YouTube? Or anywhere? Can they be streamed online?
That's a great question because it's actually part of the story in my book. Because of my car accident in 2005, I ended up moving about 5 or 6 different times because I was in pretty bad shape. Yeah. So for years, I didn't have possession of the air checks. Oh, yeah. So during COVID, I got a knock on the door, and it was a courier who had couriered me all the tapes. So I've been able to digitize them, and for the first time in almost 20 years, people are going to be able to see the old episodes. We've digitized them here in Belleville, and we're just looking to get sponsors to get them to the next level and get them out on YouTube. The whole thing is timing for the World Cup. The World Cup's coming up in 2026, so the book and the tour that I'm doing will hopefully promote the sport a little bit more.
Now, Scott, do you believe we're a country full of hope and vigor, and being a country of Canada, the beautiful country we are, do you think we appreciate our sports celebrities and all of that, or maybe we sort of take it for granted?
Well, I think we do. I think we respect them. I think that over the last several months, Canada has really come together based on the political issues of the day. And I think that we've shown our musical friends in Canada, our entertainment friends in Canada, and that includes our sports friends in Canada, have come together.
Absolutely.
And I think that
All walks of life.
from all walks of life, and it shows how great of a country that we really have.
Well, absolutely, and but that's good perspective to share because everyone has their own take on things, and that's why I wrote a very special song called "United We Stand" for Canada, and it's based upon what I was feeling about our country and all of us and all our identity, and you can find it on our YouTube channel. Just moving on here a little bit, since you mentioned it, you had, after achieving so much and a remarkable career thus far, lots more to come, growing up right here in beautiful Belleville, Ontario, or Bell Vegas, as we say, you had a devastating car accident. It was a setback, but as Josh and I like to look at things, like it was devastating, but perhaps if you're trying to look for a silver lining, it could have been a setup for the next chapter, if you will, in your life, what you're doing, because now you're back, you're stronger than ever, and you're going around and doing advocacy and that for accessibility, for all those things. Do you want to comment on that, and we'll go from there? And I hope you don't mind me characterizing it the way I did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate that. And yeah, no, I was in the car accident in 2005, and it was a head-on car crash. And luckily, I kind of swerved out of the way, I think, and I was hit on the left-hand side. So most of my left-hand side was damaged. And yes, I'm a cancer survivor. Unfortunately, the accident kind of compounded the issue, and it resulted in a little bit more trauma than normal. So the only way to get over it for me was I always used exercise and trying to keep control of weight control, keep control of my body moving properly. And I'm going to be presenting to people at the Belleville Public Library at the end of May. I can't wait. The book that I have is called Iron Knee, Iron Will. There are 10 exercises that I've always used over the last 30 or 40 years to keep in shape, and they're really simple. I didn't invent any of this, but it always was the simple way for me. Because of my hips are so bad, I can't move properly or normally, so I just adjusted things. And so then I thought, if other people have that issue, they could, and then you can adjust it to anyone else, and adapt exercises to help people, because in a lot of ways it's keeping active and just feeling good about yourself is good for the mental state as well.
Well, absolutely, and when I was saying that before, I just meant out of that tragedy, set forward in motion this next chapter, because everyone can use that. And your tour, if you don't mind me saying, your tour is called "You Can Kiss My Mass." That just characterizes your great sense of humor. So, when you were in your car accident, Scott, how did you rise up from the ashes, so to speak, and make that tragedy into triumph?
No, you know what? I mean, I think my parents helped me with a strong will. And when you get to a point where you don't really have much choice other than to do what you can do, I decided to do it.
must have been frustrating at times.
It was very frustrating, because I spent 4 weeks in Sunnybrook Hospital. It was not an easy thing to do, but I always looked at it like this. And I'll tell you a story that happened to me, and it's a short one, but it's important. It was at Sunnybrook Hospital. They have the bone clinic, where you go, and everybody that's in accidents like me shows up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and the place is packed. And I'm sitting there, and I was in pretty bad shape, waiting for my doctor. And two ladies were coming towards me, and I looked at them, and they said, "Hi, Scott." And I didn't know who they were, but they were good-looking women. I'm going, "Hey." I didn't realize until they approached that they were the young boy beside me. His name was Scott, too. And they were referring to him, and he was been in a really major car accident. And I was in a bad one, but he was in a way worse one. And so I looked at this Scott, and I thought, I'll never complain about what I was in, because he was in a much worse position. There's always going to be somebody who's been hurt worse than you have. So that's what I look at, and I realize that I'm grateful for being in my position right now, and grateful that I can, if I could, help anybody.
Well, what a wonderful attitude. And when we're down, when any of us are down in trouble, all we have to do is look to someone like you, our great friend Scott, and what you're trying to inspire to the world. Yes, it's our great pleasure that you'll be at the Belleville Library signing your new books, selling your new books, and that is Direct Kicks to the World Cup. You got to check it out. It is fabulous. And you've given us an autographed copy, so thank you very much. I just want to say, if people want to learn more about you, book you for seminars, buy the book, how can they do that? And we'll go from there.
It's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to have to do this a few more times to talk more about comedy with Josh and I, and how we're going to start our own TV show, Josh and I.
Okay, I want to be honest.
Jeremy, you're the executive producer, for God's sakes, and Josh will be the star, and I'll be the writer. So you can get in contact with me at Scott, or at Direct Kicks TV is my Facebook handle, and my Scott Granville on Facebook as well. So you can find me. Direct Kicks to the World Cup is available on Amazon. I really appreciate your time.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by the other side today and joining us. Josh, any parting words? Because we're almost out of time. Well, I'd just like to say it's been a real pleasure having you on the program, Scott. Very fascinating story and very interesting. And it just goes to show that dreams do come true. If you put your mind to it, we can do anything together. And that goes for all people of all walks of life. And what I always say is, life is a gift. You must live it, love it, be proud of it, for life is what we make it. The gift is yours. It's all up to you. And that's my credo. That's my credo. I want to give to the world, and we want to give to the world. As the Davis brothers, we were Easter Seal ambassadors. Many years ago, we got to meet a lot of sports celebrities, as we said in past interviews, and I even got to skate with Gordie Howe, and that was a dream come true for both of us. Well, we just have a couple of seconds, but that was totally amazing. And someday, maybe we'll have to talk to Scott, and maybe we can work on a book together of all our memoirs of that and road stories. But for now, this has been The Other Side Live with media personality and our good friend Scott Granville. Catch him at the Belleville Public Library and all over, and we will see you next week. God bless. I'm Jeremy T. Davis, along with Joshua Davis, and bye for now. Cheers.
And to help close out this edition of the Other Side Radio Show, a new composition from Jeremy Davis, a song very appropriate for the times. It's called Canada, United We Stand.
Defend our nation, preserving our sovereignty for all. Oh, we will never back down and always answer that call. Since Confederation, Canada has stood as one nation, embracing the principles of helping others across our great multicultural nation. For this is our home, the true north, strong and free, and always will be. So we must continue to come together across this proud country to ensure no one will ever succeed in taking our identity. Please remember it's up to you and me as part of our civic responsibility to send a clear message from every corner of our native land in solidarity that Canada will always be its own country full of hope, dreams and opportunities for all people like you and me. Tomorrow for the next generation that follows, that would be a rich legacy, something we can all cherish in the true north, strong and free. We are so proud to be Canadians and always will be. So who's ready to stand with me? We are stronger together. Oh yeah, let's unite our voices, for the world to see. We are Canada, the home of the true north, strong and free.
The Other Side Radio Show is a production of the Other Side Media Group in association with 91X. You can connect on Facebook at The Other Side Media Group, Instagram at Jeremy Tyler Davis, or on YouTube at Jeremy T. Davis, Belleville, Ontario for on-demand episodes and more. Tune in next week for another episode of The Other Side Radio Show.